Alright, welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. So, first of all, let me start out by saying condolences to the family. This man lived a long life, a long, prosperous life as well, and made a big impact, right, which will live on after his name. Now, I've always said that death is final and death is guaranteed to each and every one of us. It's the only way we're going to get out of this life, right? None of us leave alive. So, manners and respect to Mr. Edward Seaga. You can find all his accolades somewhere on social media and his history. That is not what I am going to be talking about today. This article says the CIA, the Cold War, and cocaine, the connection of Christopher Dudus Coke, and it has Edward Seaga deeply rooted in this article. So I choose to take a different angle. Remember, I do respect the office, and I am neither JLP or PMP. Stay tuned for a good read. So here we go. On June 22nd, Jamaica police arrested Christopher Dudus Coke in the Tivoli Gardens neighborhood of Kingston and immediately delivered him into U.S. custody. Many Jamaicans are hoping that Coke will not reveal the long history of connections between the country's political leaders, its business elite, and its gunmen in the streets and in the garrisons. Such revelations are likely to illuminate the past actions of the CIA, which helped create one of Jamaica's most powerful organized crime organizations, the Shower Posse. If you continue to listen, I will tell you where I source this information from. This is not mine. I am purely reading this to you for conversation's sake. Alright? These links are ever more important as the United States is poised to invest millions of dollars to make the Caribbean its newest front in the drug war, ostensibly fighting some of the same personalities and groups that they themselves had helped to create. Very interesting. So this article was saying, mind you, this article I believe was written a while back, but I want you to follow suit. Got it so far? When Christopher Dudus Coke was arrested, many were hoping that he would not reveal the relationship between our political leaders, our business elites, and the gunmen in the garrisons and in the streets. People have said for a long time that there's definitely a connection there, and both political parties are connected to gunmen. We read on. Now, on June 25th, Coke was charged by a grand jury in New York City with conspiracy to distribute marijuana and cocaine and to traffic firearms from 1994 to 2007. The United States requested his extradition in August of 2009, but Jamaica Prime Minister at the time, Bruce Golding, rejected the United States request, saying, "We are not sending Dudus anywhere," claiming that the evidence against Coke was obtained illegally. And here you had a prime minister, sitting prime minister at the time, rebuffing the request of the United States to extradite Dudus Coke, who the United States was saying was a drug lord, kingpin criminal, right? And the prime minister goes up to bat for him, saying, you obtain your evidence illegally, so no, we're not sending him. Of course, other people were saying Bruce knows exactly why he's protecting and not trying to let that extradition go through. It is because he doesn't want his name and the name of others from his party and others implemented if this man is busted. Golding even went so far as to hire the California law firm Manat, Phelps and Phillips to lobby against the extradition request from the United States. Wow. Many speculate that he went to such lengths because he owes much of his political success to Coke. And we're not talking about Coke drugs, cocaine. We're talking about Coke the man, Jamaica's most infamous gangster. Golding presides over the electoral district of West Kingston, where Tivoli Garden is located and the Shower Posse is based. Only after 9 months of intense domestic and international pressure did Golding finally cave in on May 18 and order the offensive to capture Dudus Coke. International media captured the violence of Coke's capture, and many wondered why so many West Kingston citizens would sacrifice their lives to defend the leader of the notorious Shower Posse. To the residents of Tivoli, however, Coke was more than simply a gangster. He was a respected community leader, a philanthropist, a businessman, and a powerful political authority. For instance, despite the U.S. extradition request last year, the JLP government continued to support Coke's construction company, Incomparable Enterprise Limited, with millions of dollars in government contract. This allowed Coke to distribute jobs and further consolidate power within his community. Now, people are saying, okay, so where does Edward Seaga come into this? Keep on listening, okay? The garrison town of Tivoli Garden began as a political project by former Prime Minister and JLP politician Edward Seaga in 1963. In order to complete his idea of urban renewal, are you getting that? The garrison town of Tivoli Garden began as a political project by former Prime Minister and JLP politician Edward Seaga in 1963. In order to complete his idea of urban renewal after his election to represent West Kingston in 1962, he first had to bulldoze a neighborhood that was called Bakawal, a large Rastafarian community that was loyal to the Leftist People's National Party, or the PMP. And he bulldozed that whole Rastafarian community called Bakawal. The original residents were forced out and they were replaced with Seaga supporters in large modern housing complexes, which are now known as garrison. To enforce his will, Seaga constructed his own political militia headed by Lester Jim Brown Coke, the father of Dudus Coke. Lester Coke obtained a reputation as a brutal and a loyal enforcer, organizing the young men of Tivoli into the Shower Posse in the early 1970s. The Shower Posse expanded its influence to the harbor fronts of Kingston, securing an invaluable port to traffic drugs to the United States. Aside from the overtly criminal nature of drug dealing and murder, the Shower Posse was responsible within the garrison community for bringing supporters to the polls. They were also responsible, so this was the favor: I will give you the port, you will export your drugs, your ganja, your whatever else you have, import, export, free will, and you will be responsible within the garrisons for bringing supporters to the polls, fundraising, and intimidating members of the opposition. This is where the link between politics and drug trafficking began. Alright, so if you're asking me what this has to do with Edward Seaga, I just explained it to you boldly. For those of you who've been listening so far, you can find this information at the CIA. It is called the CIA, the Cold War and Cocaine, the Connection of Christopher Dudus Coke, written by Kevin Edmonds, July of 2010, and it can be found on nacla.org, NACLA.org. Seaga's promotion of Jamaica as a free market paradise in the 70s was ripe for garnering Washington's support under the prevailing Cold War environment, especially since Prime Minister and PNP leader Michael Manley who served from 1972 to 1980, was promoting democratic socialism while rubbing elbows with Fidel Castro and Julius Nyerere. The CIA quickly brought Seaga under its wings in order to undermine any attempt to move the nation of Jamaica in a more leftward direction. Manley, however, copied the success of Seaga's garrison community in East Kingston by constructing replicas in areas like Dunkirk, Jungle, and Matthews Lane. So now he has his own garrison and his own henchmen to fight back the intimidation and all that, and to do the same, bring people to the poll and so forth. As guns arrived from the USSR, the militarization of Jamaican politics was complete. The connections between the CIA and the Shower Posse has long been known. Former CIA agent Philip Agee, for example, revealed that the CIA was using the JLP as its instrument in the campaign against Michael Manley's government. I'd say most of the violence was coming from the JLP, and behind them was the CIA in terms of getting weapons in and getting money in. In 1989, former Shower Posse member Charles Little Nut Miller was charged with drug trafficking but agreed to testify against other gang leaders in order to receive immunity. In his testimony, in which he implicated himself in 9 murders, Miller revealed his connection to the JLP as a political enforcer, as well as to the CIA, going as far as to state that the United States made me what I am. And this was printed in Newsweek, July 13th of 1998. After testifying, Miller returned to his native St. Kitts, where he blossomed into one of the region's most notorious drug barons, though he has been in prison in the United States since 2000 on drug charges. Alright. In 1992, brought forth the greatest community to highlight the connection between the JLP, the Shower Posse, and the CIA. It came with the arrest of Lester Coke, who was awaiting extradition to the United States on charges similar to those now faced by his son, Dudus Coke. The opportunity for Lester Coke's testimony in open court never occurred. Too many were fearful that Lester would have called their powerful names and exposed certain links. So he was burnt alive in his jail cell. On June 27th, Jamaicans breathed a sigh of relief as Dudus was successfully brought to the United States for trial. Many feared that he would have met the same fate as his father and never lived to testify about how deeply the government is involved with gangsters in Jamaica. The editorial pages of the country's media outlets such as The Observer and The Gleaner hope that this will be a step forward for the nation. If indeed Coke's testimony does bring down more drug lords and corrupt politicians and the political gangsterism that has plagued the country for so long. However, with the continued problems of structural poverty, the country faces a near impossible task, as other countries throughout the region find themselves in similar situations as Jamaica. In 2007, the United Nations on Drugs and Crime designated the Caribbean as the most dangerous place on earth. Statistics from Jamaica's Ministry of National Security traced a tripling of the annual murder rate from 542 in 1990 to 1,680 in the year of 2009. Now, in 2017, Jamaica experienced a number of 1,616. And to those of us that were not around in these times previously, we knew nothing about the 1,680. So we thought 1,616 was as high as it had ever been. 1,680 citizens murdered in 1 year. The recent event in Tivoli Gardens have further brought the drug war in the Caribbean to the attention of the US government. On June 10th, Hillary Clinton was in Barbados to address members of the Caribbean Community, or CARICOM, and outline the plan of the Obama administration to combat the drug trade in the region. Clinton told the assembled ministers that the United States is applying lessons we've learned in Colombia, Mexico, and Central America to our security cooperation and is working to curtail the flow of guns and illicit funds to the region and to reduce demand for drugs. Looking at the lack of success the United States has had combating drugs so far in other regions such as Mexico, where there have been an estimated 23,000 drug-related deaths since 2006. Clinton's statement can only be interpreted as more bad news for the people of the Caribbean. And what that would mean, remember, it was the CIA that helped create drug gangs like the Shower Posse in the first place. Now, again, I don't want anyone to think that SouFLoTV made this up. I thought that this was an interesting and very informative read, something that would open our eyes and enlighten us about certain things as far as our government goes. And this was written by Kevin Edmonds, and he is a research associate. He also wrote articles like Cocaine Madness, Counter Narcotics and Militarization of the Andes. He wrote On the Cocaine Trail in Nuestro Oasis. He wrote Latin America and the CIA's Family Jewels, and some more and some more. Now, like I said before, death is final. In the wake of Edward Seaga passing away, the Right Honorable Edward Seaga passing away, he blazed the trail, right? He blazed the trail. Death is final. Death comes to us all. And we respect the position as Prime Minister of the country. I don't condone speaking bad about any Prime Minister because we are on the world front, and with over 150,000+ subscribers to this channel, I think it would be a bad idea to speak negatively of our leaders, or the leader in the position of Prime Minister or President, whichever country we're in. However, I will say that what will live on after we are gone is our works and our contribution. To enforce this, Seaga constructed his own political militia headed by Lester Jim Brown Coke, the father of Dudus Coke. I am not going to forget that. And this is where the link between politics and drug trafficking began. Seaga's promotion of Jamaica as a free market paradise in the 70s was ripe for garnering Washington's support under the prevailing Cold War environment, especially since they thought that Michael Manley was pushing the country too far to the left and rubbing elbows with Fidel Castro. They did not want that communist leadership so close. So they lent their support and took this man under their wings and made him the point man. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. It's SouFLoTV. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and rest in peace, Mr. Edward Seaga.